Okay, so this is the quick start guide on eWills. So what we first want to do is git clone the project repo. So we'll run git clone, and then we'll go to the repo, the repository on GitHub. We'll copy it, paste that in, clone it. I'm not going to run this because I already have it installed, but next you want to cd into it. So I'll just drag it over. Here we go. So as you can see, we have four things: our assets, which are just image assets for our README. And then we have our demo and eWill. So what I'll do is I'll walk through on how to compile, deploy, and initialize a Concordium contract, and then use that contract on our front end within our dApp. So what we first want to do is open Visual Studios or whatever text editor you have. And we're going to go open the project folder. So it's on my desktop right here. Okay, oops, don't need the README. So I'm in, let's go to our eWill. So our contract, and here's our contract code. It's in our lib. What we're going to do first is we're going to modify our contract. Now, we're the contract name. So what this will do is when we deploy it, this is used as the reference. I believe it's used as the reference. I might be mistaken, but and what I've been doing is I just create a new reference every time, because due to this contract, the way I built this architecture is you don't use a new instance every time. You just want to create. You have one instance and that is it. So anyway, we will Control F, and we want to change that to the next. I just been incrementing it, so we're gonna find and replace, and we'll use eWills next one up, so 146, and replace all those. Now what that is doing, it's going to replace all the contract names in each method. Okay, we're going to save that. We can minimize our Visual Studio. Keep that open though, just minimize it. Okay, so we're going back to our terminal. And make the font a little bigger here. Next step, we're going to cd into our eWill. Okay, now we're going to compile. Now I just have all my commands saved in my notes. So it's right here. We're going to run cargo Concordium build. Now, if you don't have Concordium installed, Cargo Concordium installed, they have a great tutorial on how to do that on their website, on Concordium's website. So we're gonna run that. They'll build our contract. Okay, and now we can run cargo test as well, just to make sure everything works. And what the test is doing is I've written tests for each state modifier, so that each function here modifies the state. Now, within each test, it also utilizes the view functions as well to make sure those work too. So so all the tests ran, they're all okay. We're going to now run the next command, which is going to deploy our contract. So we'll copy that. Let me just move this down. Okay, we'll paste that in. And what we want to do now is change the name to, oh gosh, there we go. Change the name to our contract name. So that is eWill. And you'll see it right here. Should be up here, I believe, right? Right here, eWills 146. So eWills. Actually, I'm just going to make sure. There we go. Okay. And then, so if you don't have Concordium client installed, I also recommend going to the Concordium website just for a good tutorial on how to get that set up. So I'm going to run this, confirm, password. Okay, so here's you can see our transaction for deploying. All right, so we'll need this reference within our dApp. So we'll open our Visual Studios back up, or whatever text editor you're using. And let me just see if I can half it. There we go. Okay. So we're going to go to our front end, our dApp, and we're going to go to contract utils within home. So it's demo, home, contract utils. And on line right here, so on line 41, we have our module reference, and we're replacing that with our deployed contract. So let's get that. Let's initialize. I have the other command for that. Whoops. Right here, we're going to run initialization, and we'll have to change the, let's see, make that a little bigger. Not quite. That's okay. So the contract name, that is ewill 146, and then we'll run init, change that name to ewill 146. Okay, run that. Yes, confirm. Password. Okay, so here, as you can see, once we initialize our first contract, or our eWills contract, we have our contract index rate, which is this guy. So we'll copy him, paste him in. The only thing we have left to do in the sub index, I haven't played around with what the sub index is. You have to go check that out. But anyway, next part is to update the raw module schema. So we get that up here, and here's the command for that one. And now, I mean, all these commands are, you can find them on their website, in the docs. So here's Concordium build schema. So we'll take our contract, this massive, paste that in here. There we go. So now our front end is connected with our new eWills contract. Okay, so we'll still need our terminal. Next step now is to get our front end, our dApp, working. So we'll cd, go back to the project home directory. And now we'll cd into demo. And now we're going to first run npm install. So that will install all our node modules. Should take half a second. Okay. There we are. We got no modules installed. Now we can just run npm start. Oh, and before we run that, let's make sure we have Google open, because you will need a browser to interact with our dApp. Oops, npm start. There we go. Okay, here it is. Should look something like this. Make sure you have the Concordium client, or I'm sorry, the Concordium wallet extension installed. I have it, and you also want liquidity, and you want to make sure you're on the testnet as well. I think it's in here, wallet settings, yeah. So I'm on the testnet, and I have liquidity from the faucet. So let's connect our wallet and create our will. So as you see, I'm already connected, so let me disconnect it. There probably is already a will set up for this account, so let me switch over to, I guess all my accounts are connected. Hold on. All right, we should be good now. Yeah, okay. We'll create a new will for this address here, so the 3G. So we'll connect him. Oh, so one thing before we can connect our wallet and interact with our new contract, we need to go back to our contract utils on our dApp and change Control F, or find and replace, from our old contract, or the default contract, to our new contract. So we just want to say our new one is, whoops, what is our new contract? So it's 1.4 eWills 146. So we just want to find and replace. There we go. Okay. Save that, and that'll automatically update on our browser. So what that did, let me just jump back into this real quick. What that did was the reference for our contracts need to be updated. So this is referring to what contract we're communicating with. You can see it was all 145. These contracts are all, or sorry, these functions within our DApp are underneath these contract methods. So like I said, just do find and replace. That's if you go this far. You technically don't need to do, if you wanted to skip the compiling part, you can. I have a pre-deployed contract that will be automatically set. So if you just want to run npm start, you can. You don't have to skip. You can skip through the contract deployment. So yeah, anyway, we're going to back to our browser. We're going to connect our wallet now. So here we are. So now we're prompted with our will creation. So as you can see, it's just a text file. Now this text file is saved on the GitHub repo. So if we go back to the repo right now, here it is. It's just a mock will. Now if we run git hash, this will hash the contents of that file. So it'll do a git request for the file and then hash the contents. That's how we get this hash here. Okay, so let's select our notary. I'll use the 3W address right here. Now our notary cannot be the creator. So our 3G, which is the creator, cannot be the notary. The reason for this is during will discovery, the notary can then be referenced back to a real person. So yeah, here we are. We have our will file, our URL, our will hash of the file, and the notary address that's allowed to notarize the will. So let's mint that. And as you see here are our inputs. And then we can confirm. You can see here's our contract reference with the method and the index. So we'll confirm, sign and submit. Here's our transaction. So if we take the transaction and throw it into CCD scan, we'll see, okay, we'll see that it was updated, contract instance. Okay, we'll close that, go back. All right, so let's go to the bottom here. So as you can see, here's our notarization and the status, and the will has not been notarized. The acting notary, which is the address we put in, e-seal verification, and now with e-seal goes in line. So during notarization, the will also be e-sealed. And then here's our file URL. Now the wills themselves, so the e-will is not designed to be mutable. So it's immutable, so that meaning you can't change it, and the only way you could change it is by burning it and creating it again. But let's get into, let's go to the next step, which is notarizing. What we need to do now is jump to our notary address here. So let's do that. So we'll disconnect him, and then we'll go back to our 3W. I believe it's 3W, isn't it? Yep. So we'll connect. Okay, let's refresh. And connect. Here's our 3W. We'll go to the notary section. We'll toggle that. And then we'll copy the owner's address of the will that we want to notarize. So we'll paste that in here. We'll search. And here it is. Now also saying that you are the acting notary for this will. And if we go to the bottom, as you can see, his will has not been notarized. It's the same thing. So here's our e-seal notarization. So what we need to add is a witness. Now, similar to how the notarization address is added, which ties the notary back to the real world identity of that notary, we need to do the same thing to the witness. So you'd want to make sure, we're just going to use one of these addresses here. With this circumstance, what the notary will do was put in the address of of the witness. And this address can be tied back to the real world identity of the witness. Like I said, I'll go into how this works later on. This is how wills are discovered during the discovery phase of a will. So anyway, we'll then e-seal and notarize. Let's move on. So we'll go back up top. Here's our transaction hash. Okay, now confirm it. Yep. Okay, there's update instance and write contract. So we'll go back. Okay, so let's refresh it again. So it tells us up top here that will has already been notarized. If you go down to the bottom, you can see how if the notarization was successful, the acting notary, and the timestamp. As you can see, the witness was added and the timestamp was added. It also confirms the e-seal of our will. And so going back to the hashing, the will hash is the original hash of the will. So that was when it was minted. The current hash is what the will is, what the hash of the will is now. So if we go back, because the will isn't stored on chain, right? So the will is stored off chain. So therefore you have to check, or you have to verify the authenticity of it, and that's what e-sealing does. So if we go back to the will itself and we make a change here, so let's change John to Joe. Save that. And then we go back to our e-seal, or back to our will, and we can jump out of the notary address now. So let's go back. Let's disconnect our notary. And go back to our testator, or our will owner or creator. Okay. Whoops. Let's refresh. Yep. G3. So here's our will. It might take half a second for GitHub to update. Okay, so as you can see here, our e-seal verification failed. And it says invalid e-seal verification. Will has been changed from original sealed state. It's not the same as it was when it was minted. We can just burn it. And that would be the next step. So this will is useless now because it is considered, it has been tampered with and is unauthentic. So I'm just going to quickly create a new will. I just want to briefly go over e-will discovery. So e-wills piggyback on the idea of invoke anonymity, where identities can be retrieved from the Concordium blockchain. Now, using this principle, say that a person is deceased and you need to get a will or check to see if they have a will, well, you could invoke their identity on chain, which and then through either a court order or subpoena, which then you could identify whether they had an asset or an e-will asset. All right, I think I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching.